Welcome to Animal Posse, the podcast dedicated to the people and rescues making a difference in the lives of animals. If you're a regular listener, you know we usually shine a spotlight on the incredible people and organizations that are making a difference in the lives of animals, from rescuers, veterinarians, advocates, and volunteers. Today, however, we're going to flip the script a little bit and explore the other side of that powerful bond, how animals make an incredible difference in the lives of people. So we are honored today to welcome Forgotten Coast Canine. They are a nonprofit doing truly transformative work by training and pairing service dogs with veterans. They aren't traditional animal welfare, but they are animal lovers, and their mission is all about healing and service. So get ready to hear some inspiring stories of 2- and 4-legged heroes coming together to change lives. Welcome to the show, Chris and Tyler. I can't wait to hear about the Forgotten Coast Canine and what y'all do. Before we get started, if I can get each of you to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your background.
Tyler, go ahead. You go first.
Hey, thank you so much for having us. My name is Tyler. I'm the CEO of the Forgotten Coast Canine. Been working here for about 5 years now. I served in the Marine Corps for 5 years. Quite a gas battle launched from 2012 to 2013. Got out. I was lost. I had no idea what to do with myself. And I was kind of dealing with some things. And I always wanted to be the guy that I would have mentoring me when I got out of the Marine Corps. And so now I have that opportunity working for the nonprofit, and it's just been amazing work. Created a huge passion for me. Be able to work with so many people that are mountains compared to me, and so it just living the life and loving every bit of it.
All right, my name is Chris. I was in the Air Force for 4 years. Got out of that, spent some time, got married, did the corporate America thing, and then wound up being a cop for almost 10 years, worked in K-9 unit down in Florida, and wound up running the unit. And that's kind of where I got into the dog training thing. A couple of circumstances happened that we had to see the difference of a service dog can make in somebody's life. Went from making a lot of money training dogs to making no money doing service dogs, but it's a much better life. We've helped over 40, what is now Tyler, 43? That we've done over the last 20 years since 2020, which to some departments, some guys isn't a huge amount, but we concentrate on the quality of our dogs and the personal training of the guys. I've training schools is longer than most for the actual handler that gets the dog. So I've been doing this since 2020. We officially became a 501c3. We've got dogs in, I think it's 14 states now, some of those Puerto Rico and Ecuador. So we are doing things to get these dogs in the hands of our veterans and first responders, because our biggest mission is obviously to mitigate the issues that people are having with their health issues, with the PTSD, the high and low blood sugar, blood pressure, all of the fingers, all of the things. But the 22 thing is the popular number about suicides, and that's what we really are pushing to prevent the use of service dogs. But as Tyler can attest, he did some research, and it's including active duty and current serving first responders. That number is well up over 40 a day, according to the CDC. So we've got a long way to go, and we are doing our best to make a difference.
What is your core mission?
To provide training and service dogs to veterans and first responders to help mitigate the effects of PTSD, the nightmares, and things like that through the use of well-trained service dogs.
So you're making a difference in the lives of people and also in the lives of those service dogs, because I imagine they're treated quite well.
They are pampered beyond belief. It is the craziest thing. My daughter is a research scientist at Vanderbilt University, and she always talks about how when you talk to people about taking care of themselves, how they just blow it off, whether no matter what it is that they're dealing with. But if you tell them that your pet weighs you in this amount of weight in this amount of time, you need to get this done, they will spend thousands of dollars to make sure that pet is okay. And that's just for what they call their fur babies. We can translate that into a really life-saving buddy for them. These dogs are pampered beyond belief. We've got a meeting next Monday with a new dog food company out of the Atlanta, Georgia area. There's freeze-dried dog food to help pump up the nutrition for these guys, for their dogs. So there's a lot going on.
Do you offer support after the veterans get their dogs?
Yeah, actually, every one of the veterans that comes from the program has our personal cell phone numbers. We've got guys that were in some of the first batches that came through that we still talk to quarterly. They'll call us out of the blue. If they do have an issue with the dog, we sit back with them and go live online with them and talk through the issues. We also have just over the last year and a half, maybe, Tyler, we started working towards some mental health outreach programs as well. Because everybody, I always say dogs fix everything. I've been saying it forever. But the truth is that they've got to be at a certain level for the dog to help them. So guys that are super struggling, we've had a couple that we've gotten hooked up with some other programs to really focus on their mental well-being before they get the dog. Then the dog runs up being a better tool for them once they've got some other issues sorted out. So we really are trying to become a whole health spot for them.
Can you go over the main programs that you offer?
We used to do a Build a Battle Buddy program, and that's the same concept that we are still doing. But what it is, we'll take, there's some extensive interviews. Tyler's on the application review committee, along with David Easterwoods and Carolyn Smith, all board members and trainers and veterans, all three of them. So what we do is once we get through the paper application process, then Carolyn will she'll spend hours on the phone with these people and their families and making sure the right fit, learning their personalities, learning everything about them. Carolyn is an amazing woman, absolutely amazing. She's trained, Tyler, 5,000 or 6,000 dogs in her lifetime.
Yeah.
And she's really good at taking dogs' personalities and matching them with people. So she actually looks through the litters after spending all the time on the phone with guys and girls. But the thing that she's been able to do so effectively is match the dog's personality with the person going through the program. So once we get all of that sorted, then the veteran first responder starts class live online with Carolyn every week. When that happens, either myself, Tyler, Carolyn, or Travis is another trainer of ours up in Ashtabula, Ohio, gets the dog and gets the puppy. And they're doing the housebreaking, all the basic skills that the dog needs. And after 8 or 10 weeks, what happens is we put them all together. So it just depends on the progress, right? We say 8 weeks, but it could be 12. It just depends on everybody's progress and how everything's coming together. So what happens at that point is we all get together. In the past, we've been going to them and doing this, but now with the new facility that we're working on, that we'll talk about in a little bit, we're going to bring them to us, and we'll spend 10 to 14 days with them, taking everything they learned online with Carolyn and turning into practical applications with the puppies that they get. So after that's done, we send them back home with the puppies. The puppies are housebroken, crate chained, so all of the stress really of having a puppy is minimized. And they then spend another 3, 4, 5 months online. Again, depends on how everybody's tracking. Still live online with Carolyn once a week. And they're sending us videos and they're doing homework. And we got all of these things that Carolyn has this stuff spaced out. And what that does is it allows them to, as they're honing their handling skills and us reviewing it online, they're bonding with that dog. So when we decide that they're ready, we bring them all back together again. And we spend another 10 to 14 days really focusing on any issues that they had during the process and focusing the dog men, utilizing the training that they've had to teach them how to focus on the individual's own issue, whether it be PTSD, blood pressure, all of the things we teach them how to mitigate their issues by using the dog. And then we also put some certifications on them. We've got our own certification that we go through. Even though there's a lot of things that you can buy online that says you've got a service dog. It's all this stuff. Oh, gentlemen, register dog in the registry. There's no such thing as a national registry for a service dog. It's all BS. It's all a way to make money online. It's not happening. But we do a quote-unquote certification in-house based on the things that they're needed. But we also do an AKC, Canine Good Citizen, and a Canine Good Citizen Urban documentation. So we've got a lot of paperwork with them when they get to the places. Because of the rampant use of fake service dogs, we give our guys a lot of paperwork so that when they go to it, we've got answers to the people that are asking the questions so that our people have a stress-free travel time with their dogs.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up about the fake service dogs because I know that's something that we see frequently. Like we were just at an amusement park and they have these fake service dogs walking around the park. And they're like a fake service dog because they like dye them blue and stuff like that. But so you can look at them.
The bane of my existence. Tyler and I went to Puerto Rico to deliver a dog to a Navy SEAL down there. That's another thing that's different about us. He had contacted 5 or 6 of the companies that have been around forever. And they wanted him to leave his family, leave his son, leave his job, and come spend 2 or 3 weeks in the States with them to go do the dog thing. In cases like that, we just pack up and go to them. That's the beauty of us being a small organization and not having the restrictions that a lot of people put on their trainers and stuff. We just take off and go. So on that trip, Tyler, tell them about the service dogs on the way back.
That's right. Yeah, we were coming back through, and we were sitting there at the gate, and there was the lady had a poodle, and a really tall poodle, and
a full standard poodle that was completely untrained, was dragging her everywhere.
Yeah, and she saw Nova, and Nova just completely calm. She's sitting, I have her sitting right below my legs, in between my legs or whatnot, just sitting there. And this dog's just going nuts. And then right next to us, somebody had a Yorkie? Same thing.
Yeah, a Yorkie is a service dog.
Yeah, and their little suitcase, little carry-on things. I don't even know what service that dog is going to provide. And but we saw that numerous times in Puerto Rico. And then the thing that really got me was when we went to the VA hospital with our... remember that? Yeah. And the doctor refused to see our recipient because he had a service dog with him. And
he quote,
right away.
Yeah. And quote unquote had a bad experience with a dog one time and he's not comfortable working on a man that may have to have surgery as a decorated Navy SEAL, refused to serve him because he had a dog with him. Yep. Yeah, it's from the fake service dogs. It's from everybody having these bad reactions. A service dog, number one, has to perform a medical function. It has to perform a medical function. Now, they can't ask you what your issue is as to why you had to have it, but they can ask you what your dog is. 2 questions. You just had a service dog, and what does he do? Not what does he help you out with, but what does he do? They have to have an actual response, a physical response with that dog. And that's the medical function that it serves. And they just don't do it. These guys register these dogs online. I've seen fake IDs for service dogs for people that I know in the training industry that have never even heard of the person that had their credentials on there. It's insane what they're doing now. Instead of just saying, he's an emotional support dog, I need him in this situation, and dealing with whether he can or cannot go into a restaurant or a hotel, they just ruin it for everybody. These dogs are generally aggressive. They bark, they yap, they do all of the things that you cannot do as a service dog. There's even people that say that service dogs can be trained to protect you, can be protection dogs as well. And the ADA is pretty clear on that. There's a couple of case laws that came out. The original one said that, yeah, your dog can protect you. And it can to a point. It can't be trained in protection. But if you're at an 18-year-old in a wheelchair and somebody aggressively comes up to you and your dog turns to protect you, that's not a violation of ADA, unless your dog has been trained to protect you through police training, bite work training, like sport training and that kind of thing. So there's just so much that comes into these fake service dogs. It is absolutely critical that at some point we get some regulation. Now, other dog trainers and other people are going to crucify me for that remark, but come on, guys, you all know it. We need some sort of, I'm talking about overbearing government intrusion, but we got to have a standard somewhere.
There's got to be accountability. That's really what it comes down to. And there's no accountability for the people that take full advantage of their quote unquote service dogs when they don't do anything for them, but they want to take their dogs with them wherever they go. That's not how this works. But they're taking full advantage of a system there's no true regulation on it. And all they have to say is, oh, no, I plan on training this dog to be a service dog. And that's it. Then boom, ominous dominus, you have a service dog. And that needs to stop.
Yeah, nearly any dog can slap on a service dog in training, rest, and never any questions.
Yeah, and what she was getting at is, so we vacation in Orlando a lot. And we go to an amusement park there, and you'll see the dogs. Usually, if it's an actual service dog, it'll say don't touch or something like that. But then you'll get that person that has a dog. It says service dog on it, but then everyone's petting the dog, and it's getting on people's laps and jumping up on their arms on their chest. I'm like, that's not a real service dog.
Yep. We took a dog. We got a dog that was donated to us. We don't usually take donated dogs, so we know about the longevity of the dog because we had an experience with a gentleman that had waited 3 or 4 years to get a service dog. Finally got a service dog. 2 years later, it died on the operating table with complete cardiovascular system collapse. And it was a genetic thing. So we fully encourage everybody while working with the sheriff's office in Florida that live here that to help them there at every one of our events, getting their dogs adopted and all that kind of stuff. But we found that just because of the one incident, especially KC out there, we saw that the person, how low his depression got after he waited all that time to get a service dog and then only had it for 2 years and it died. We're really sort of looking at the health of the dog along with the personality.
So the dogs do remain with the veterans then during the training. I just want to make sure I'm understanding that correctly.
After their initial 8 to 10 weeks, they get the dogs. The first 8 to 10 weeks, the dogs are with trainers and the people are with Carolyn. And then after that, we bring them together and then they're with them from then on. Our total training process can take up to a year before they actually come back with us and get certified and take their dogs.
Is that a typical thing or is that unique to your organization?
It's unique to us. Most people do the rescue dogs and shelter dogs, which is amazing because they've got the staff to do that, right? They've got 10, 15, 18 trainers and volunteers and more power to them. Happy they can be able to do that. But we're our limited resources and our limited stuff. We decided to keep that and spend more time training the individual so that we're better equipped to handle anything that comes up with that dog. So yeah, dogs are usually about 18 to 20 weeks old when they get their dogs, but the puppies have already been through basic obedience, crate training, potty training, traveling cars, exposure to environments. We walk them through city parks, we walk them in airports, you do all the things to expose them to all environments. So it takes that stress off of our people.
How much does it cost to train all these dogs since you're going and traveling with the individuals and you're sending the trainers to the individuals?
I don't pick up the dogs and take them to the trainers, so I spend a lot of time on the road, a lot. We've got our vans, not even quite 3 years old, it's got 120,000 miles on it. So yeah, we spend a lot of time on the road. But yeah, the cost is somewhere between $22,000 and $30,000 per dog for our costs. That's all of the puppy itself, the vet bills, the trainer's hours, the food, everything that goes into that. The classroom hours for the student, the training hours for the puppies. There's the travel, you got hotels, all the things that you have on the road. And that's where we're at. We were able to bring it down. We were using an outside training company for the first 2.5, 3 years. We started diverging paths as far as the training regiment went. And our costs were moved forward $4,500 to $6,000 more using an outside company. But now that I've looked at our board of directors and I've got some amazing set of trainers and decoys and just awesome people in the board of directors. So we started what's called our Service Pause Academy and brought everything in-house. And we were able to shave a lot of money off of the cost of it.
How many trainers do you have?
We got 7. that we utilize consistently.
And do you try to recruit newer ones as well?
We're not right now. The ones that I've got, we're able to coordinate our schedules, and we are actually all pretty good friends. Before we started, before we really got involved with the training side of everything with each other, we've been friends for a bunch of years, so we keep it with those right now. We'll let some volunteers come and handle the dogs, and we'll teach them how we do things. But for the most part, we're pretty happy with where we're at now because we're so spread out. I've got trainers in Ohio, Michigan, 2 in Ohio, Michigan, Alabama, Florida, and Montana right now. And Tyler's in Texas now, so we have one in Texas as well.
And Tyler, what do you primarily do in the organization?
So I'm the CEO, but I handle 10 or 15 different hats. I handle the website stuff. Go ahead, Chris.
I can't do what I do physically without Tyler. I mean, period. He's all the events, helps me set all that stuff, handles the logistics, moves the dogs around. He also does, for lack of a better term, sales. He goes out and recruits people to become on board and be sponsors for us, especially now that we're building a big facility now and doing those things. He also, he's a brand ambassador. He does work with 4 different companies right now, getting our logos on their products and coordinating all of that. He is our NASCAR liaison. We've been involved with NASCAR pretty heavily over the last couple of years. It's really helped boost our visibility. Plus, he kicks butt when it comes to the Google stuff. Or just checking us up there at the top near the search engine. So Tyler's is one of those that he does it all for us and just can't say enough. Even though every now and then he is a Marine, I do have to communicate in crayon. But
And just hope that he doesn't eat them. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I knew it was coming.
Tell me about the facility.
Okay, we are Forgotten Fish Canine because my dad was born and raised in Port St. Joe, Florida. And about the time I started this business and looking for a name to do it, we realized Dad had dementia. So all of our symbolism, the degree of tilt in our compass has personal meaning. It's all of this deeper stuff with us. We try to connect everything together. Port St. Joe, Gulf County, Florida, where Dad was born and raised, and then is the Forgotten Coast of Florida. I've got a good relationship with those guys. I go down there all the time. I think there's only been about 4 summers in all of my 58 years. I haven't been down there for 2 or 3 weeks of the summer. It's just home to me. So when we were looking at doing a facility, I lost my dad last August 4th. Dad finally passed away from complications to dementia. And his friends reached out to me and so that they had been talking to the county commission down there. And so they brought me a meeting, we went in and talked. And Gulf County, the people of Gulf County are amazing. We have one of the most beautiful Barren Hill Memorial Parks you'll ever see. Overlooking, it's on what they call Highland View. It's where the old lighthouse used to be, overlooking the bay. So it's this high hill that was just incredible park, beautiful memorial. But all of those guys and I got together. In Gulf County, usually all of those are 15 or 20 year lease on their property. They won't sell their property because it's county property. But what they did for us was they gave us 4 acres, just a couple of miles north of the bay. Gave us 4 acres on a 30-year renewing lease that will allow us to build. We're going to build in phases, but eventually it's going to be an 8,500 square foot training facility with enough kennels for 20 dogs. We're going to have 10 tiny homes with their individual fencing and everything. So when the veterans, we can all bring them to us now. Instead of going all over the place to them, we'll have enough room for them to bring their families. It's going to be behind the highest fence, and they're going to be with people, like-minded people, so they have that sense of community that they had when they were still serving. We're going to do some RV hookups down there, too, for those guys that are like me now. I sold everything I have and live in the capital life, going back and forth all over the country. We'll have RV hookups for them and everything, and it's going to become a center that we're going to have classrooms, we're going to have conference rooms. We're going to be working with the local hospital there to provide psychiatric services and things while they're down there. Eventually, we're going to work to do a full medical hookup, and then we're going to working with the PFW and American Legion down there in the area and the local hospital. We're going to try to get them some medical care while they're down there as well. So we're really hoping to turn that into just a beautiful facility that really takes care of our veterans and first responders.
What is the time frame on something like that?
It depends on donations and state appropriations. We've got a year and a half to start breaking down with ground with our first building. We was actually in the clearing process now. So we're going to have the utilities, we'll be pulling everything. I really hope to have it 70% built by June of 27. We've already gotten some pretty huge donations for people. Everybody wants to leave a legacy. And we've got a benefactor that has just been incredible to us. Vans, merchandise trailers, golf carts, kennels. They've just been incredible for years, all in the name of her brother that was a Navy guy for years, served in the Mediterranean during World War II. We're going to be launching the entire complex is the Hunter Allen Veterans Center, but we're going to do the naming rights to the buildings and to the housing area and to the RV area, just so that people can leave a legacy while donating us money to fulfill our dreams.
How do you choose the veterans? You said there's an application process, but how do you pick which ones you're going to go with?
We go through and check their background, check everything, make sure they've got no domestic violence, no animal cruelty, no anything like that in their background, no violent arrests. So after once that's cleared, Tyler actually does most, 80% of that part of the process. So he can probably best tell you about how that process works.
I gauge if I'm going to further the application process depending on how much information they put into the application. If they spend a lot of time in the application, I know that they're going to actually be a good fit. What's service dog going to do for you, this, that, and the other? And then it goes to a family questionnaire to where I ask the family if this is going to be a good fit for them. If they just put like a 1 or 2 word, something that just to fill in that space and it's very bland and it's not really a lot of information, then if they don't do something to actually show that they need it, then that's what I look at. After I get that application and I go through it, and then I give them a call. And I talk to them for almost 2 or 3 hours just to get their story. I'll ask them something similar to what the application says and everything else, but I really take that time to get to know them, hear them out, see what their issues are and everything else, and I can gauge it. Okay, maybe they need to go through some type of mental health situation, or if they're good to go, then I'll pass it on to Carolyn where she actually finished that process. But then we'll have a full meeting between the 3 of us to gauge, okay, does this person need this service dog, or what do we need to do proceeding from here? And so that's just the beginning of that process. And then Carolyn and Travis, our other trainer, they go through the process of getting everything set up, moving forward for class updates, the dogs, and everything else.
How many applications do you have to turn down? Do you get more that you're turning down?
There's definitely a few of them that are very questionable because we run the background checks as well. And I check everything. I go through Facebook, I go through Instagram, because a lot of people just post open source information out on their stuff. And so I'll go through all that information just to see who they are, what they're posting, and then I'll go through that background check for them, like checking their history on court. If there's anything that pops up, speeding tickets or anything, like it all pops up for me. So I go through that phase of it. And there's a couple people where I was like, we're going to have to turn you away, or there's a different organization that might be able to help you further. But this isn't a good fit, I don't believe. And I've had that conversation a few times. And it's unfortunate, but it saves us such huge heartache because there are people out there that say they need a service dog or they want a service dog, but it's just a showpiece.
Yeah, it's an optics thing to them. They're more worried about what it looks like to have a service dog than actually getting the help they need.
And so we don't want to waste those resources on those type of people either. And yeah, that's why I look at the application, and if they put a 1-sentence response versus a full paragraph and they need extra pages, I'm really going to focus on that person because they're truly putting an effort into what they're wanting and needing. So there is definitely a huge process that we go through, and I gauge what answers they look at. And then we actually go through a whole process of the behavioral side of it as well. So we go through the gauge of how much PTSD they're going through. It's the same thing that VA has.
Yeah, bench depression index.
We go through that process and we give it to them, what is it, every 6 months or so? Just to
roughly.
just to see where they're at within that process as well. And if they're improving or if they're not, then hey, how can we help? Because that's the thing too. There's a lot of organizations out there that here's a service dog, here's some training, good luck. And then they'll reach out to them for email. I get text messages all the time from guys. Say, hey, how you doing? Or I have something going on or whatever. And then I'll give them a call.
Well,
Or I'll just call them up or text them.
we've got a guy, and he doesn't mind us talking about it. We got a guy named Drew. He's in Tallahassee, Florida. And Drew struggles. He's got a great service dog, but he still struggles. And he just checked himself into. He called. We arranged a boarding situation so he could put his dog, but he said, I just can't. The dog is helping. I'm only thinking about suicide twice a month now, where it was a daily thing, but I still need some help. And that's the other thing, that the dog's a true service dog will help them recognize that they do need further help. And he's going through that now. He's out in a 30 or 60 day facility out somewhere in Texas that he found that's going to really help him focus and do his thing. Because he's one of those guys that before he came to us, he had tried to commit suicide. The last time he called us, he was thinking about it. So technically 3 times suicide has crossed his mind in the last 4 years.
No.
We like to give everybody all the help we need. You are part of our family once you come in with us. And that's the biggest thing is that everybody, we know the names of everyone that's been through the program. They know their dogs. It's a thing with us that we want to keep it personal, we want to make it personal, we want to give them that sense of belonging that they are missing since they left, but whether it be military or first responder.
What is the procedure if they called you up and they said they didn't want the dog anymore? Would you take the dog back?
We have done that with one dog, actually. Ashley, great little girl down in South Florida. And we have permission to use these names. I'm not just throwing names out there. They signed a waiver for names and likenesses and all that kind of stuff where we can use and talk about them. Ashley, she's pretty jacked up, but she's super active. She's very neurotic. And the dog that we gave to her, I made him a little neurotic as well. They fed off of each other. She called me one day and she goes, can you come hit the dog? I'm like, absolutely, we'll come do it. When you get ready, we'll get you a different style of dog to go. We rehomed that dog and everything went well. But she, again, it was her dog, right? She was just taking meds and doing things and trying to cope. When she got the dog and she had to take care of the dog and herself, it made her realize I'm a little more jacked up than I thought I was. And now I'm projecting onto the dog and messing the dog up. So she gave up the dog while she fixes herself, and then we'll get her another dog. She comes in, and that dog went to somebody else, and they're thriving. When I say dogs fix everything, they really do. Even if you're as messed up as she was, this woman literally wrote me a letter, introduced herself, and her next sentence was, I know I'm really effed up, and I need some help. And I was like, she's going to get a phone call immediately after I read the letter. And she was already pretty self-aware, and we tried to make it work, and it didn't necessarily work, but I check on her once every 3 or 4 months. I check in with her and see how she's doing, and when that phone call means a lot to her, and we want to keep that no matter how big we get, no matter how many dogs we put out. We want to keep that personal touch because it's important, especially someone that's been in the situation she has. Because to me, she's a kid. I'm 58 years old. She's 20 or 25 years old. And I would hate to think what I would do if that had happened to my kid. So that's what all these younger people just become more like my kids than anything else. And I really try to look after them and keep them in the loop and really look in on them.
I would imagine that you have a lot of success stories. Can you share some of those?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, can I bring up Schaefer?
I was just going to tell, I said I have a very tragic success story, if that makes sense.
Okay. Can I talk about Schaefer on this one then?
Yeah, that's what I was going to tell. Yeah, absolutely. You go ahead.
All right. So Schaefer, a really good buddy of mine, we actually became best friends. He actually recruited me in the Marine Corps. And that's how I met him. And I hit the fleet. We stayed in touch. I got out of the Marine Corps. He started working for me over in Ocracoke when the hurricane hit, and we were literally rebuilding the island for the people there. And about a year later, he reached back out to me. This is when I really started getting into Free Coast Canine, but I didn't have that experience of actually delivering a dog yet at this point. And so he reached out to me and said, "Hey, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I'm going to get in touch with my oncologist and everything. I want to go through the program." And this happened. He notified me in, when was it? August, I think. Yeah, so it was like in June. It was in June when he notified me. And so right after he called me, I called up Chris and said, "Hey, this is what's going on. I don't know if he's going to be able to go through the program. He's contacting his oncologist. They don't know what kind of type of cancer it is just yet. Is there anything that we can do to help him out?" We got off the phone, and then you called me back like maybe 30 minutes later saying that we have a dog. Chris trained this dog up and everything else. Come September, I picked the dog up, and then I drove to North Carolina, and I got there, I think, at 5:00 in the morning. Drove there out the whole night, and we ended up giving him Junie, or Junebug is what they call her. And so at that time when I got there, Craig was literally in his death recliner. He hadn't moved for 2 weeks. Jaundice was kicking in. He had stage 4 colon cancer, and it was moving rapidly fast, and it was spreading. We got, at that point, it went to his lungs and
lungs and liver.
And yeah, lungs and liver. And jaundice was really bad. Like, he was bright yellow. And so I got there. I crashed out on the couch. But I remember the moment that Junie, I came inside first. I said, "Hey, I got Junie in the truck. I'm going to go get her. I just want to see how you guys interact." And so I walked her in. She looked right up at Craig and then crawled right into his lap and just laid there. And I had some tears in my eyes and everything. And it was like a true awakening, because that was the first time I ever saw somebody receive a service dog and see that connection, like right out the gate. And it was extremely powerful. I crashed out for maybe 2-3 hours, and I woke to Craig actually up out of his recliner, moving around and doing things around the house.
At this point, keep in mind that Craig only had about 3 weeks left of the 6 weeks the doctor had given him. He was resigned. Yeah, 2-3 weeks before he was in his mind, he was dead.
Yeah, and so I wake up and say, "Hey, you okay?" He's, "Can you take me to PetSmart?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, let me go brush my teeth and pop myself up before we head out."
So this dude hadn't gotten out of his recliner except to take care of bodily functions for 2 weeks. No shower, no shave, no nothing. By the time he woke Tyler up, that dude was showered, dressed, and ready to roll.
He was. He really was. And he was about ready to just leave, go to the store by himself. And so I took him to the store. He's out walking around and everything. We were out for about, I want to say, about 3 or 4 hours. He started getting appetite. He asked if we can go get something to eat. Like, he was like a whole different person. And at that point, he just seemed like a changed man. And then he ended up being the best man in my wedding. He did all this stuff, and he went from 2 weeks to 9 months, like living
bucket list. Yeah, bucket list. He got well enough to participate in one last paintball game, which was his passion after he got out of the military. But he actually got well enough with Judy that he drove all the way down here to Florida, participated in that, stayed at my house for 3 or 4 days afterwards, recovering because he was worn out, and before going back home. I get chill bumps just thinking about that story.
So he was 3 weeks from end of life, right?
Yeah.
And then he got another 9 months with his service dog.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yep.
Because he had to take care of his battle buddy. He said, "I got to get up and get her stuff to take care of her. I can't let her down." It gave him a purpose that a lot of these guys are lacking when they come home. So these dogs give them that purpose. They have to keep up with the training. They have to take care of the dog. They can't let that dog down. That's their battle buddy. And so it just gives them so much more purpose that it's just, you can see it in their eyes. You can see the change. It's amazing. I wish that everybody can experience one of our handoffs firsthand. And the pictures that we take don't capture it quite well enough. But if you can be there for that just one time, if you get the opportunity, click and go.
What happened to Junie?
Jenny, when Craig passed, go ahead. Danielle, his fiance.
Yeah, so I was there up to the very end. Danielle was there as well as fiance, and Junebug was with us in the hospital and everything. And she looks over at me and asks that very question. I said I would like to keep her in the family. And Dale just started crying and thanked me and everything else. But that's the thing. We want to make sure that something like that happens. We're not going to just rehome the dog into somewhere else or whatnot. And the dog's already accumulated to that family. We're going to try to keep that dog there with the family no matter what. So having Junebug there, it almost felt like it was Craig helping in a way. So like I said, we want to make sure that these families are taken care of no matter what, even if something that's tragic as that happening, we're always there for these guys, even their families as well. Because like Chris said earlier, it's a huge family. But that's the thing that really sets us apart too with this whole bit is, we're always going to be there for everybody that we come across. Even the guys that just randomly call us. I'll tell guys all the time. I even told you this, man. That if you need somebody to just yell at, call me at 3:00 in the morning. I don't care. Say, hey, I need a vent, and just let loose.
Super,
I don't care.
super success story. Tyler and I both have insomnia things, right? So one Saturday morning, and if you email one of the accounts that we got on the website, we both get it. So I happened to be up early because I couldn't really sleep well. Tyler was still up, and it was, probably 6 or 7 o'clock on a Saturday morning. Andy takes us, having severe issues with his muscle stuff and everything related to his service and all that stuff, and he was suicidal that morning. And he takes us, we both start answering him at the same time. And drunk down, just everything about it. He's told us more than once if we had not answered his email that morning, that we'd have never met him. And so that's the kind of guys that we get sometimes, and that's how we are. When our phones ring or that email goes off, we're on it as quickly as we can be. There are some family stuff that overrides how quickly we can respond, but for the most part, we're picking up the phone. And it's made such a huge difference in these guys' lives. Andy has gone from pain so bad from his muscle issues and everything to where they have even backed off of some of his medications, and he's getting out more and more every day because of his dog and his bond with his dog. Or it's just, there's story after story like that. We've got, the dude in Virginia, it took us over a year to get him to fill out the paperwork from his first contact with us. And he was work and home and had the work life, supervisors not understanding what he was going through, not getting to see his kids very often, all that kind of stuff. It's just incredible what he's doing now. He's got a new job, he's looking up, he's got more visitation with his kids and everything because of the dog. And this was a day that it took us a year to get him to fill out the dadgum paperwork.
We also got Smo as well.
Here, DJ Smo.
Yeah, DJ Smo. This guy, he suffers from seizures, grand mal seizures, and it happens. It just happens.
Hospitalization, life-threatening seizures.
Yeah, at least 2 weeks in the hospital if something happens.
He's a part of the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association. If you ever have a chance to meet any of those guys, probably one of the most amazing motorcycle associations on the planet. They are freaking incredible. We met one of the members of them at a fundraiser we were doing in Clarksville, Tennessee. I was coming home from one of our country music fundraisers in Missouri on a Sunday, and they had been trying to get responses and stuff. She called me Sunday on the drive. I made 3 more phone calls. Their motorcycle association raised $5,600 in 4 days to get him expedited through everything there and get him in the program. That was in May. I think we delivered his dog in September.
Yep.
September 7th, we delivered his dog. And nine days after we left, the dog alerted of a seizure as this before was happening. And they're now up to 15 or 20 minutes before the seizure, the dog is alerted now.
Wow.
Yep. I can be talking to you till midnight about the upside of this. I've had some incredible jobs over the years, made a lot of stuff, but there's no job I have ever had that compares to the satisfaction from doing what we do. It is the best feeling on the planet. But everything we do is grassroots donations. We do chili cook-offs, country music concerts. You can sign up on our website and give $25 a month and that kind of thing. But it's all been grassroots so far. We've had a few big corporate donors. You've got to go hunt those every year. And we're doing the same we do for the same people every year. So you're hunting those and working those. And the money side of this is probably the hardest part. The easy part is the people with dogs. The hard part is the funding.
Yeah, that seems to be where most 501c3s struggle too.
Yeah. I'm hoping that with the facility where people can see a physical manifestation of the money they gave. One lady gave us, I think the very first fundraiser I did, she wrote me a check for $8,000 in honor of her dad that was on the Indianapolis arrival in World War II. I can't remember exactly. I have to look it up in my files, but she gave us that money in honor of her dad that served in World War II. So there's a lot of that happens as well.
There's a rescue that we follow, and they just built a facility. And what they did was they put bricks outside, and they let people purchase a brick and then put an inscription on the brick. So have you thought about doing something like that?
We're looking on that. Like I said, the people in Gulf County with the Veterans Memorial Park and they get down there, they did a lot of that funding through the bricks. And I'm working with the guy that organized all of that. The guy that organized all of that and owns a bunch of stuff down there is great, but just a cool old man. I've known him my whole life. He went to high school with my dad. And so I've had several meetings with him about funding a project like that. And one of his first suggestions was the bricks.
I do have another question. Since the veteran's life is depending on the dog being constantly vigilant and well cared for, would you say that these dogs in turn receive a more focused, high level of care and purpose than an average pet?
I would like to think so. We try to teach them to really step up their care. A lot of people, especially like my age, I'm 58 years old. Pets were pets when we were kids. They stayed out in the yard. They rarely came in the house. It was a different kind of animal back then. But I think with these younger, and I call Tyler a kid, these younger kids, Tyler's 36 now. Right, Tyler? And to me, he's a kid. But I think that their focus has changed from what ours were. And I think that they don't see the dog necessarily. Like I call it a tool a lot because I'm trying to get people to understand that they need to upkeep, they need to do the different things. But they see it as more than just a tool. They see it as a member of their family. And so they really take good care of them. Mary, Enderly, a Marine wife, we were dating. Her husband was going to come to the program when we were at a church music thing in Missouri. He wasn't feeling well that Saturday night, and so he skipped it. So he gave Mary the certificate for him to come through the program once he was feeling better. That was a Saturday night. He got his result back from the doctor on Thursday. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer, was dead 51 days later. Never got to come to the program.
Wow.
I had a dog that I had literally bottle fed from 2 weeks old. Sophie was my dog. She went in. I had her for 3.5 years. It was a really great nightmare dog. Something about her and her abilities, she would wake me up before I would get too deep into a nightmare every time. So when Mary was having trouble sleeping, she was having trouble doing all of these things. So we talked about it. I thought about it, prayed about it a lot because Sophie meant so much to me. Where I ultimately decided to put Sophie with Mary. The very first night she was with Mary, Mary called me the next day and said, "Hey, let's go grab breakfast. I want to ask you a few things." But what had happened was Mary said that about 2:30 to 3 o'clock in the morning, Sophie would nuts on her. Started doing zoomies in the hotel rooms, jumping on the bed, playing with her and shaking at her, trying to get her to come play with her. But so I got up and played with her, and she went back to bed. And I told her, I said, back up and remember what we talked about. I said, when do you have your deepest, most vivid dreams of Brian and the loss that you suffered and everything else? She said, right around 2:00. Oh my gosh. I said, nope. She could sense that. She woke you up. Y'all played for a half an hour in that hotel room and completely forgot about it, and most of y'all went back to sleep.
Wow, that's incredible.
I said, yeah. And so now her and son, because she's a brand ambassador, for lack of a better term, for us in Missouri, something has changed Mary's life 1,000% for the better.
What kind of training did you need to do to become a trainer? And then also, you mentioned that you have the dogs for the PTSD, for the seizures. What other functions do the dogs have, or what do you train them for?
We pretty much work with them through a variety, whatever that specific person needs. If it's anxiety, we teach the pressure therapy for the dog. It's basically like a breathing weighted blanket. I have a problem talking. I can tell how nervous I am. But when I'm up on stage, when I first get started talking, everybody's a little antsy when they first get up there. And so my dogs are taught to lean into me to let me know they're there, so I can reach down and scratch them and pet them while I'm talking. And then as I relax, they move out of the way and go to sleep. So there's that anxiety response. There's high blood pressure, low blood pressure, high blood sugar, low blood sugar. They're trained, they can be trained in almost anything. The only thing we will personally train them in is as a seeing eye dog. I have trained a bunch of dogs in my lifetime, and that is out of my depth. I will be the first one to admit that I am not that trainer. But I got into training. I was a canine handler for a sheriff's office in Florida, and really started to get fascinated by the training aspect of it. Worked up to where I wound up being the canine unit supervisor, basically by default. It wasn't because of my experience. And I really started looking at all the aspects of it. Went through a couple of different training schools and started doing it. And once I started learning that training, I started learning other training. I've been through 3 or 4 different training scenarios, plus all the police training that I did and everything. And I combine all of those in my personal style of training. There's a training company that does a lot of native reinforcement and positive rewards. And we use their style of training. A lot of our trainers have been through their programs. And so we really use that because the dogs just pick up on the training so quickly using that style. And that's what we do. I don't train as much as I used to, just because I'm out fundraising 90% of the time now. I don't get as involved as I used to with it, and I miss that. But my role has evolved from when we started to where we're at now.
And what about you, Tyler? What kind of training did you do specifically for this? And then how did you get involved with working with animals?
Me and Tyler met accidentally over a webpage.
Yeah. And it was from Phil and I were working together on a contract down in Louisiana, and David was actually there. What I like to do is I learn all I can about the guys that work under me. And so I was sitting there talking with David, and he was talking to me about the service dogs. I've always wanted to get into the service dog industry just because I want to be able to help people out. And I've always had a dream to do that. And talking with David, I found my way in. And it happened to be only 2, maybe 3 hours from my house back when I was living in Alabama. And I told him to reach out to Chris. I'd like to get an introduction. We met. That's where Chris and I met, was over at David's house when we got done with that contract.
Pretty sure we met over fillets and cigars.
One thing led to another, and then boom, here I am. Picked up the IT stuff right out the gate. I designed the website for us. Really started honing into that whole segment, and then it just erupted from there. And so now I can't say no to people. I have that problem saying no. It goes into everything that Chris talked about now, but from what I do, that's basically how I got affiliated with this whole thing. It was all because of David. So I definitely have to give him a little bit of credit for that. But I went through their whole training thing, actually trained my service dog on everything through what I'd learned from them. And then it evolved from there. And so I started getting into this whole other side of things and just a better program. And so somebody will call me up, hey, what do I do with this situation and everything else? I give them some guidance and everything. And then they give me some feedback, whether it worked or not. And then I kind of work with them from there. If it worked, great. If not, then we try something different. We always have to, we're always there to figure out these problems with these guys. And if I can't figure it out, I'll call Chris. Hey, man, what do I do in this situation?
And that's also kind of the beauty of the site that we give them so much background in their actual training and their hands-on training and their practical training and their online and everything. Is that if they're hanging out at the VFW or American Legion or wherever they hang out, there's another veteran that's having an issue with a dog. Our guys, by the time they get through our program, have enough knowledge to help another veteran work through his problem with his service dog. So it's really just a beautiful give back, give what you get kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a very unique system that they have the dogs and they're involved in training the dogs from the start. I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, we didn't know how well it was going to work, but we knew that a lot of the programs weren't working as well as we thought they could be. And it's one of those things. We actually developed this stuff through a kid named Tony Dolman. Tony lives out in Kansas. And Tony was riding along in Afghanistan one day, driving along, woke up 7 days later with all of his buddies dead, and he was the only survivor. We had IED and done. Well, so a survivor, he tried to kill himself and it didn't work. And then later on, he tried to kill himself again and it didn't work. And he literally just found us through another company because he was looking for ways to make his attempt permanent. And wound up looking at dogs, looking at a couple of companies, ran across us. And Cody's a success story that helped us actually develop this program and the timelines and everything for what it does. And Cody's an amazing guy. Him and the girlfriend were separating. I haven't spoken to him in probably 5 or 6 months, which means he's doing great. Cody doesn't reach out unless there's an issue. They're doing great. Their marriage survived. He's got a thriving, he built up his dog training service to a point where he was able to sell it for a boatload of money. And he's just kind of living life now, and everything's happy, and he's got his dogs, and his life is good. So it just shows you what kind of turnaround you can have when you're given the right tools.
Tyler, tell us about a dog you rescued in California in 2018 during a wildfire incident.
Oh, boy.
I feel like they're making more to this than me.
Yeah, that was an interesting situation there. Oh boy, yeah. Phil and I. This is where I met Phil. Was on this contract, and this is at the Paradise Fires. This is why I'm not going to say a name, but there's certain organizations that I will never donate to, and this is one of the reasons why. This location had a lot of people that were selling drugs, doing all sorts of things that you're going to see out in like the normal world out in a big city, but they just blocked this location. So I noticed that this dog was lethargic, and I walked up to him because they were going through a bunch of stuff that was donated, and they weren't supposed to be going through this stuff. And I noticed it was a little pit bull, the old boxer mix with pit bull and whatnot, a little puppy. And I grew up with, I know that they're not lethargic by any means. And I kept an eye on them. And a couple of days later, we get a call on the radio from one of our guys in the main building. It was like, hey, there's a dog in here, a puppy that's unresponsive. We need to figure out what's going on with this thing. And next thing is me taking a feed, like basically running to the front entrance of the facility, ran inside. I didn't even say anything to anybody. I just walked up to the person with the dog, took the dog out, and walked out. And I didn't say anything after that. And the next thing I hear is on the radio. Exactly, man. And so when I'm on the way to the Humane Society, amazing organization, they had a tent there. And as I was walking this little puppy up, the dog started coming back to life. And it was just like biting at my beard, trying to play with me and everything else. I'm like, I can't give this dog back. There's no flipping way that I'm going to be able to give this dog back. So I made the decision that I'm going to adopt this puppy. And so I get there, I sign all the paperwork and everything else. I explain the situation that there's a couple of crackheads that had this dog. And I'm pretty sure they were feeding it drugs to get him to calm down, saying it's a service dog and this, that, and the other. And we need to say that something happened to this dog so they never get this dog again. And so they cover for me. And a couple of days later, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this dog because I had for room for him. And with me traveling all the time, this just wasn't going to work. And so I reached out. I talked to one of the guys, happened to be Wayne, a really good friend of mine. And talking with him, and he's like, I've always wanted a dog. I was like, come meet the pup and see how you guys interact and everything. And as soon as he saw the puppy, he fell in love. Yep. And fast forward to now, I called him Han, but his name, and Wayne had the
Of course you're there, you're Star Wars nerd.
Yeah, whatever. He changed his name to Khan because it sounds more masculine and everything else. And so Khan is just living the best life right now, getting spoiled, turned Wayne into a big old cuddle bear with him and everything. And he's just living the best life. He truly is. And that was probably one of my most favorite situations where I actually legit took the dog.
But yeah, but he's right about that place. It started off as a good idea and it just got really bad. One side was set up that we called Tent City, where all the tents and the RVs were. And the other side was where all the livestock was. And we had animals that were burned, injured, hurt really bad. We had over $1 million in donated pet food that we were keeping an eye on. People were coming over, taking photos of the injured animals, and then trying to start like GoFundMe's to raise money for animals that weren't their animals.
Just seeing a community like that come together just for the animals too, man, it was truly amazing. I remember going down there multiple times and helping those guys out with those animals whenever we were off shift.
Oh yeah.
And the burnt sheep and the horses, the ponies, dude, like I tell you, dude, they knew that we were there to help. And that was very powerful. Chris has got some pretty good stories too, man, with this canine.
We would love to hear him. We would love to get y'all on again if you want to come back on and speak of some further topics and stuff. And
absolutely, anytime.
Yeah, this is definitely a lot of fun for us, man. We like talking about what we do. We have a huge passion for this. Just the reward of actually seeing this come to life is more than enough.
You can go to our website, follow us online, and mostly Facebook and Instagram, but we're all on Twitter and TikTok and that kind of stuff. I'm serious, if we can get everybody that follows us, I think we're not shooting to go over 1,000 followers. But everybody would just sign up and get $5 a month. They can change the lives of several veterans a year.
yes.
So we have a recurring thing when you can sign up and do that. And it's such an incredible thing. And then once we start getting everything carried down there, we're going to be posting a lot of progress pictures online. And we're just doing the main process for the buildings and the outbuildings and all of that. And we have fundraisers all over the country. If we're in your area, by all means, come out and support us. We've got a big chili cook-off in the Breton survey. But last year, I think we did over $10,000 and a one-day chili cook-off.
Wow, fantastic.
So we've got huge support most people once they hit traction. And we're planning on doing 12 to 15 this year, and we're just planning on making them day in day every year. So some of the best people you'll ever meet come out and hang out with us.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you for having us.
That's all the time that we have for today's episode. Thank you for listening. If you are enjoying our show, please consider leaving us a donation. 100% goes to our animals.
Bars in the night, claws in the fight, whiskers twitch and tails take flight. They're calling in stories to spin from the wild to the heart within. Broken wings and hopeful springs, we're the voices for these things. Animal posse, hear the call. We stand together, big and small. tips.